Oh, nice.
Really amazing. Absolutely incredible. Lots of disturbance, a lot of sediment coming out. He must have gone underneath.
This was filmmaker Brad Besteling's closest encounter with Africa's Nile crocodile. Now, he wants to go deeper. Herpetologist Vince Shacks is his wingman.
It looks good down there. Nice, amazing. There you go.
Vince studies crocodiles in Botswana's Okavango Delta. But since seeing Brad's unique footage, he's hooked. The fear of crocodiles and the claustrophobia of their dark caves aren't enough to keep this team away.
The extent of those chambers was something that also surprised me. I didn't realize how far they extended outwards and how long you could travel along them.
Brad and Vince are the first people to actively explore this dangerous labyrinth. It's an insane undertaking. Camp is still 2 miles away, but beneath the surrounding papyrus beds lies a newly explored world where giant crocs rule. These 2 men will risk life and limb to infiltrate and explore it. Step 1 is to find the crocodiles. There are hundreds of big crocs in this section of river, so they won't have to go far.
We have found with these crocs that they are definitely creatures of habit. Basking sites generally will have caves or areas that the crocs will return to when they leave the basking site. Several places, there's a basking site, and just upstream from where it is, there's a nice ledge and a nice place where they can sit out of the current in the shadow of vegetation hanging over and just sit out whatever potential threat is coming through, or just a good place to go into neutral.
They're about to get in the water with hundreds of crocodiles, many of them over 15 feet long. In Africa, Nile crocodiles kill hundreds of people every year. Splashing attracts crocodiles.
Make sure that you get into the water very, very quickly. Anything on the surface, I think that's what will draw them in.
Now, they have to find the croc's hiding place. But the banks on either side are dark. Brad sees something. It's the crocodile. He needs to get closer to get a good shot. But he must stay away from the croc's head.
Around the head, there's a strike arch because they obviously use their bodies and their tail to twist. You've got to keep a fair distance away from that.
If the head sideswipes Brad, it would crush bone and tear flesh. need air every 15 minutes. Brad jumps at the chance to film a breathing croc underwater for the very first time. The divers unknowingly surround the reptile. It doesn't strike out or swing its head in defense. Crocodiles are believed to be mindless killers. But Vince believes they just can't see well underwater. This is his chance to test the theory. But he needs to get even closer to the croc. He wants to do a simple experiment to test the crocodile's vision. He needs to get right next to the predator's head. In the strike arc, Vince could be clubbed by a split-second swipe at any moment. Vince edges into the strike zone for the croc's eyesight test.
When you're on the bottom with them, you just make sure that your approach is very, very slow. If you have a whole bunch of divers and a big ball rushing in on a croc, the guy's going to panic. So you give it a lot of space and you drift slowly onto a croc. Then they seem to be quite comfortable with you being there.
Vince gets within 3 feet without triggering a violent reaction from the croc. Yet.
Literature tells us that the crocodiles struggle to focus underwater, and if anything, they're farsighted. The way that the light reflects back tells you if the crocodile is focusing close to it or further away. And if we see a half-moon crescent on the top of the pupil, it means that the crocodile is focused nearby. And if the crescent is at the bottom of the pupil, it means that the crocodile is farsighted. So we're basically trying to get an idea if the crocodile is focusing on us or if the eye is just not focused at all.
This dangerous experiment relies on orthogonal photorefraction and will reveal the crocodile's plane of focus underwater. How well do they see Brad, Vince, and the other divers? Diopters measure degrees of focus. A naked human eye is approximately 50 diopters out of focus in water. A crocodile has a nictitating membrane that protects the eye when it dives. Vince believes that this extra layer blurs the croc's vision badly underwater. The reflection from the bottom of the retina indicates that this crocodile is very long-sighted underwater. All it sees is blurry movement. When Vince and Brad return to the caves, they suspect the crocs will use other senses to detect them. Tonight, Vince returns to his traditional croc research. He's trying to find out more about how crocodiles travel in the Okavango Delta. The only way he can do this is to catch, mark, and release them by hand. The goal is to find a previously marked crocodile and study the change in growth and location.
We measure total length. We do a series of head measurements. Two very important measurements for us are the circumference of the neck and the circumference of the tail. And these measurements just give us a very good idea of a body condition index, and it helps us understand the health of the animal and how well it's doing in this system.
But most of his captures are small animals.
So let's carry on now.
Bigger crocs are much harder to catch, but they're hugely valuable to his collection of figures.
You got him? Yeah. Hey, recapture. Check out, these two are cut. There we go, that one's cut, left.
Data from recaptured animals is crucial.
Perfect.
It tells Vince a story about how fast the animals grow and how far they've moved. But this traditional technique of capturing doesn't work on the older, smarter crocs. They're difficult to noose, and Vince still doesn't know much about what they do beneath the surface. In the quiet delta, the boat motor is noisy, and the spotlight signals Vince's approach from far off.
Learned what the spotlight is, so basically you can only get so close before the adult drops down, and they're normally close to the side, so they disappear to the bottom of the papyrus, so it's very difficult to catch them at night, and it's quite frustrating.
He would do anything to get his hands on just one big adult crocodile. For now, the team wants to know why these crocs use the dark papyrus caves. Vince decides to try something outrageous. Noose a big croc underwater, and for the first time, fit it with an onboard croc cam to see where it goes.
I mean, theoretically, in the main current, if he's moving against it, and I put that thing on him and I tighten it,
Yeah.
his immediate reaction is to keep pushing forwards, huh?
Yeah.
Keep pushing up.
I think I'm just going to wait for a reaction. I'm just going to wait for action at the end of the road.
What I'll be on
They
this road.
agree on a proposed technique. Brad will wield the noose, and Vince will hold the rope on the boat.
It's going. I'm going to be pulling, so there's going to be a few head shakes.
Yeah.
But then he'll be trying to get to the surface.
So when he comes up, the mouth